Yes, how you doing? This Fred Ward checking back in with Count Time Now. I got a special guest with me today, my man Eric Brakken. But like I told y'all last season, took a lot of time talking about like the barriers people face. We had some very unfortunate, amazing stories about people who done suffered through these barriers, right? But we want to sometimes tell a different story. It all connects. So today, I actually got, a partner of mine, newfound partner from Florida, Eric Brakken, that, had some passion about some of the things that we do. He'll tell you when I introduce you. But we were able to do some other things that's very important in the reentry community. So before I get off into it, this is going to be a really informative show. I want to let you introduce yourself to my guy, Eric. How long? About a year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
About a year and a half. Eric, why don't you tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself? Don't try to be humble because I know you got some big wins up under your belt, but kind of share with them a little bit about you.
Well, I spent most of my life in doing community organizing, labor organizing workers, trying to do different kinds of power building, doing political strategy, and been doing that for about 30 years.
Wow. Oh, them receipts right there.
And most of that down south, most of that in Florida, where I live now. But I grew up here in the Midwest.
Okay.
So, the last few years, I've been working with a whole bunch of different organizations and constituencies, and one of the groups that I worked very closely with in Florida is Florida Rights Restoration Coalition.
Yeah, my man, Desmond now.
Desmond Meade, who's a big friend and mentor of mine, and has done. There's his book right there. Yeah,
my man Des.
He has accomplished things beyond my wildest imagination. So, back in 2018, of course, this is his story that a lot of people know, but passed at the time the largest expansion of voting rights in 50 years in the country. 1.4 million returning citizens in Florida.
1.4 million people in Florida that had criminal records that couldn't vote based on the work Desmond and a bunch of other amazing people, Eric included, got their rights back to vote. And we sitting in Ohio with low voter turnout. I just want to mark that. All right, Eric, I couldn't get away with that. I couldn't let them get away with that.
Well, we've been going through, trying to, unfortunately the state has, try to block the implementation of that as much as possible. We've still gotten a bunch of people registered to vote.
Nasty.
But, I've been organizing a long time, like I said, and over 3 decades, trying to really pay attention to like what kind of change in the aggregate, helping to make. Yeah. And specifically about people's lives, like, is it easier for people to like get through the day, to pay their rent, to pay all the bills, to, raise their families? Is their kids going to expect something better than, the lives they lived? And increasingly for so many people, I mean, that's just not true. And a lot of communities are just, have, that I've been working with over time, despite how many different campaigns, we also raise the minimum wage in Florida.
That's awesome.
We're the only state in the South that has $15 an hour minimum wage.
Man, come on. That's when y'all clap.
Right.
Even at home, that's when y'all clap for that.
So, I mean, we've done a lot of big things, but, still, even a state where we were able to raise wages, cost of housing is going out of control. And as we're working with the returning citizen community, for me, what I really paid attention to, or really became clear to me, I remember one particular conference we had, and we, about 300 returning citizens, and we had different breakout groups. Could people go in a breakout to talk about their obstacles, getting over their obstacles to voting, getting over their obstacles to good jobs, getting over their obstacles to higher education, or getting over their obstacles to housing? And it seemed like 90% of people went to the housing breakout.
It's a real thing.
And it just really got me focused on, like, what do we do? And, in Florida is a state where, it takes a long time to get anything good passed. Yeah. And, I really started.
Ain't too much different. Okay. Right.
So I just started to think about, like, what do we do that's, people are actually going to feel and people are coming to us and saying, I need help. Like, what do we do that's, outside of just getting we're still get laws passed, but how do we do that that's going to help people in the more near term?
Now watch this. So we're gonna cut this up and then we're gonna bring it home for y'all, right? So you in Florida thinking about all this.
Yep.
I'm in Ohio, just got organized. I always give credit to my man DeMario Cooper. He brought me into the organizing space.
Yep.
He's actually over Popular Democracy right now. Amazing organization nationally.
Yep.
So as he was bringing me in, I always had I had street influence. Don't get it twisted, Eric. I had street influence for a very long time.
Yeah.
And a high-level credible messenger, but I ain't know nothing about organizing. I didn't vote. Wasn't studying about vote. I thought that the underworld was the only reality that I actually had for myself, right?
Yeah, sure.
I felt the barriers.
Yep.
I just couldn't name them.
Yep.
I knew I was getting blocked and doors getting shut, but I was going to still survive. But I didn't have the civic education to understand what the conditions was that created the circumstances, right? And so, he organized me, and it changed my life. I didn't know that I was moving into, the public arena. I just thought I was getting some game from him, learning how to navigate systems, trying to move in the world.
Yep.
But the reality was I was actually taking on a public life.
Sure.
But in that, what happened as I started trying to tell other people, it kept coming up like, Fred, I love what you're doing, but you know what? Right now, man, I'm trying to feed my family. I'm trying to find a job. I'm trying to get somewhere to stay. And I had to sit with that for a while, too.
Yeah.
And after I sat with it, I realized I couldn't sit in a good conscience. Like, man, we got to go to the state house. We got to vote. We got to do our and not find some kind of way to address the immediate needs.
Yeah.
Right? And I knew I couldn't do it myself, but I'm like, a soft handoff. What can I do to, in this organizing space, let people realize that you can do something now, and we also got to do something later.
Yeah.
Right? It's a continual thing.
Yep.
And so, at some point, I said, housing. But I'm going to tell you something. So I'm here in Glenville. Glenville is a historical district in Cleveland, Ohio. We had, man, all the greats that have been on here. We done had Martin Luther King preach on this street. Malcolm X done came over here. We had the 68 riots that started here, So we got people that got some, some uprising in them.
Yeah.
It's a little slow to, since the 60s, it's been a little slow to kind of harness that. But I know at the core, there's some revolution on this block.
Sure.
So I done jumped out there. And I labeled this block the Miracle Mile. Matter of fact, nope. I didn't label it the Miracle Mile. It's the oddest thing. I was in conversation with an individual that was on the board with me that happened to now be a U.S. Senator.
Wow.
And how this got named the Miracle Mile is that, he used to come down here, we talking, and, about different things. I'm trying to educate him on, what people directly impacted actually go through. But he down here in these Mercedes-Benz and Bentleys. He got a car dealership, so he down here with all these fancy cars. His wife's scared for him. She calling well, why you got to be down there, with these cars? And it's kind of rough down there. And he said something. He said, I can leave from down here, but there's a lot of people that don't have the opportunity to leave from where they stand.
Sure.
Right? So this should be a Miracle Mile. It should be nice cars and nice houses and all that up and down this street, right?
Sure. Yep.
And that stuck with me. And I'm like, Miracle Mile. And if you don't know this by now, if I hear something that catch, I'll add something to it.
Yep.
So I said, you know what? This is the Miracle Mile. How to turn a neighborhood into a community, right? One miracle at a time.
Yep.
And so one of the miracles that I decided needed to happen over here was affordable, high energy efficient housing.
Yep.
And here go our story.
Here we go.
Right? Now I ain't got no money, but I just know we need affordable housing. And I jump out. I want to do 100 houses in this area because it's needed. And And so I'm sitting here and I get a beautiful relationship. I started a relationship with the County Land Bank Charities.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me, you know, a house to work on. You never got to meet Gus, but Gus actually was one of the ones who started Land Bank. Great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, he gave us a house. And then at the time, the Cleveland Foundation was like into like, you know, supporting housing.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they still are. And they gave me money to do the house. So I did the one house, big old, giant, crazy house. It was condemned.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we went in there. I'm just so happy to get a house. I ain't thinking like this house, 6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and condemned.
Mm-hmm.
So I go in there, we gut the house to the studs. By the grace of God, we actually put this house together.
Right.
Central air, granite, ceramic floors,
Hey.
you know, for people coming home.
Yeah.
So they Gus and them come in there and they say, man, ain't no way you did this at this price point.
Mm.
And I'm like, yeah, and the only reason why I was able to do that was because, one, I used people directly impacted to help put the house together.
Yep.
I bought a lot of stuff at the auction so I could get quality stuff, you know, without having to go to Home Depot. No slight to Home Depot and Lowe's, but I probably could bid and get it a little cheaper with the same type of quality.
Sure.
And we put it together. And the house filled up immediately with a waiting list of about 30, 40 people.
Wow.
And then I got stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, I want to do another house. Don't got the money to actually do it. Need to maybe move into like a business model, LLC type of space, just to be able to attract investors, right, that could help me do something good, but also make it make sense to them.
That's right.
And here come Eric, all the way from Florida. I ain't gonna say where was the ones that in Ohio. I'm thankful that me and Eric actually met. We met through a mutual friend of ours, Prentice Haney, phenomenal guy. Can't keep up with him. He might be in China. He might be in Brazil. I don't know where he at. Can't keep up with this one. But we sat down. I told him my vision. Told him, you know, what's possible, what's needed. Met Eric through Prentice. Candace, shout out to Candace. She told me to have a conversation. Sometime I won't talk. I just work. And we met.
Yeah, we did.
And out of that, Eric said, you know what? Let's create a proof of concept. Eric put his own money in. Matter of fact, he pulled from a 401k or something, right?
That's right, yeah.
That's faith. He pulled from a 401k. We put the project together and came out with another house that was condemned, that's actually beautiful. We're going to make sure that my man Watts put some pictures in the podcast so you can see what we actually did, where people can come and stay in this neighborhood with a high energy efficient house at an affordable rate with dignity and equity still in the house. So, what you think, Eric?
I mean, you know, for me, it was by the grace of God. It was. I actually had earlier that year said to Desmond, we should do something like what you're doing in Florida.
Yeah.
And Desmond said, you know what, go out and do a proof of concept somewhere else.
Thanks, Desmond.
And
Thank you.
I was in a program where we were asked to write down what they called our Mount Everest, right? What kind of the big idea, the big kind of, you know, it's a real estate, community that I'm in, where we were asked to say, you know, if you wanted to make a big impact in the world through real estate, write down like in 3 to 5 years what that would look like. And that's your Mount Everest. And I wrote down, I want to help build housing for directly impacted people. I had heard about and learned about people doing it for people coming out of prison, people coming, you know, homeless veterans, women escaping domestic violence, kids aging out of foster care, you know, all sorts of different communities. And I said, let's do this, you know, for the community that I learned through FR's Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, you know, is needing affordable housing so much.
So
and
everywhere.
You know, again, Desmond said, you know, go someone who knows how to do that and do a proof of concept. And I didn't know who you were, but like 4 months later, I meet you.
God did. I'm faithful. I'm a faithful servant. Because I didn't know who was about to help. I just knew that it was needed, right? and you jump right in, like, and I'm just thankful because, like, a lot of times they say, a prophet ain't received in his own land. And sometimes you got to go outside of those closest to you to, like, create the vision, right? Sometimes everybody don't jump on the train when it's just not starting to move. But we got a train moving now.
We got a train moving now. And we went, in 1 year, we went from one house to 6. Yep.
2 commercial buildings.
That's right.
Right? Now, they ain't all funded yet, but they are obtained and they owned, free and clear. Yep. So you in Cleveland.
Yes.
They know you're in Cleveland on the podcast.
Yep.
So Eric came down today to actually see the final product of what we done put together.
That's right.
It's already off the charts. It's gone already. Right? And to look at some of the other stuff that we're looking at, and we're going to share with some other folks about how they can actually play a role in helping turn a neighborhood into a community. Right? I think it's a noble, honorable mission that we own, and I'm really thankful to be on this mission with you too. Sometimes you just don't know who your partner's gonna be.
That's right.
Unlikely partners.
That's right, 100%.
Yeah, this is amazing.
I mean, what I've been really, the time that we've known each other, I've just been, you project such a big vision for, not only this specific community, but building a model that other people can learn from. And, it just makes me think about how do I find a whole bunch of other people like me? Because I know that folks are out there who want to put, their money, and you want to be able to invest it. So you're like me. I have 4 kids, right? I gotta figure out how I'm providing for a family, and but how can we take money that might go into the stock market or might go people buy bonds or whatever they do, and how do we really invest it in people with a big vision like you, who want to turn a whole neighborhood into something that a lot of other people can learn from. So that's spot on. And I'm gonna tell you something. It's sometimes you got to go outside of like your local environment because, man, I come up with big visions, and to me, I'm like I can see the end in the beginning. Yeah.
But sometimes you'll meet people that'll be like, maybe start small. Proof of concept is one thing, but starting small is something else to me. They're not the same.
Right.
And so because the way my mind works is I'm always trying to solve a problem. And sometimes in my mind, a problem has different elements that create it. Yeah. Right? And so it ain't one thing. Right, and so I say that because I'm in the organizing space too.
Yep.
And it's like when I talk to people, and a lot of people are so disengaged and they just have just no thought of like integrating into democracy. Sure. Some kind of way they done took upon themselves to say, it's a game. It's a 2-party game that's being played on us, and I just don't need to participate.
Sure. Yep.
And I totally disagree with that, right? But what I found is that when I can show them successes, right, on any level of success, and forward motion, it make people pay attention. It make people say, you know what, I might not totally understand how this all works, but I'm going to stay engaged enough to continue the process, right? And like, so to me, voting, participating in democracy, building communities, all those things to me have a common thread. And I'm going to say this, because I mean this. If capitalism was instrumental in creating all the inequities, right, in this country, right, all the barriers, then I think that capitalism should be used to help fix it.
Absolutely.
If capitalism helped create and strengthen racism, and all these other barriers that we face, then we should use capitalism to fix what it broke.
I mean, I assume this is true about where we're at in right now. Most of the neighborhoods that are suffering in this country were once redlined, right?
Guaranteed.
And that's a legacy that is, no longer officially legally true, right? That legally has been abolished, but the effects continue. And there were other communities that were green lined.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? That means investment come in,
yeah.
open the door, bring everything in. And I just, I think that if we're able to attract, that kind of capital to back a vision like people like you have, we can turn a whole bunch of things around for this country.
You know what? I'm gonna go out there. I don't know if you heard this conversation. It was a few years ago, and it was some talk about how to do philanthropy different. And I got excited. I'm talking about, it was like, they was talking like people like Zuckerberg and all these different type of names, big names.
Yep.
And I was like, I could definitely show you how to do philanthropy different and give you some outcome measurement. But it was a conversation in that around organizing. And what came up was that if people that's historically oppressed was to have access to capital, right? That they would walk away from the movement, the organizing movement.
Right.
Man, it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
Because I'm like, and then you also hear, I also used to hear in organizing where people like, man, they just pimping poverty. They pimping poverty. And so when I heard that, I'm listening to the pimping poverty, and then I'm listening to the lie that if people that suffer and struggle and don't have access to capital, if they had that and they could shore themselves up, right, that they would no longer participate in like the fight for liberation and equity and inclusiveness. It's the total opposite.
Right.
If you gave them access to capital where they could lift themselves up and be stronger and get out of survival and crisis mode, they would fight even harder.
That's right.
I know it for a fact.
Yep.
But it was a thought, and I don't know, it was a thought that was in that narrative that felt like, and that was a dangerous thought. It's a thought to keep a person, downtrodden and in crisis survival mode, thinking that only if you are struggling and almost without hope that you'll in some way fight back.
Yep.
And like that sat with me for a while, and I was like, man. So when it comes to philanthropic circles and all that, I'm always curious to know like what's the guiding thread.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's so many people on the ground that have wonderful ideas that could produce all type of profit, shares and all that. And it's a time now where some people got so much money that it ain't even about profit so much as it's about legacy and doing something good and enhancing humanity.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, you just said it before about how many people are cynical about the whole political process. And, believe me, over 3 decades of doing this, I have plenty of cynicism that's coming to me myself about that arena. And, at the end of the day, regardless of any particular politician or party or policy or whatever, to me, the bottom line is, are people's lives getting better?
Bottom line.
Is it, easier for people to, feed their families, to make a way in life, to live their dreams? And, I had a very close friend and mentor who just passed away a few months ago, Alfonso Mayfield, who used to say, how do we create a world where ordinary people can shape and own the communities that they live in?
Wow.
And, at the end of the day, I think if people want to wake up and they want to be able to see their surrounding community getting better. They want to see themselves and their family getting better. They want to see their neighbors getting better. They want to see that they're living in a safe and healthy and neighborhood. And that should be something that everyone agrees on, right? We want that for all of our neighbors, right? Neighbors we see everyone today, neighbors we see every day, the neighbors that, we never meet, right? And for me, that's, that's the essence of what you're trying to do here, and is what makes it so.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm honored to be in relationship with you. I'm thankful. It's one thing to have a vision. It's another thing for somebody that don't even know you to say, hey, this is something I got a vision for too, and to step up, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me. And hey, man, we on a mission. I know we in alignment. You ain't gonna get it all now, but I guarantee you we gonna show you some other things we doing.
Yep.
You just got a snapshot. It ain't the end. Hey, we working. So now you know. It's more than me. Fred Ward checking in right now. This count time now. We're doing more than just talking about what hold us down. We also gonna talk about what lift us up. So stay tuned.